All right. How's everybody doing? Good. Okay, guys, any questions from previous sessions? I did talk to, I think I exchanged some messages with Carla. She had some comments about one of the task management systems called the 5S system. Is that a task management system, right?
Yes, it's like a 5S method.
It's a method.
Yeah.
I think there is room to get into it within the presentation here, but it relates to when we talked a little bit about leadership lit and how to increase that. Carla, you want to give us a brief explanation of what the 5S system is?
Sure. Well, this is a method used in Japan. They developed it and they created to make companies work better. So it's about five different things that you need to do in order to be consistent and clear and everything in the company to make it grow. And basically, it's like five Japanese words. It's Seiri, Seiton, Seiso, Seiketsu, and Shitsuke. And they stand for set, sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain. So basically, it's kind of simple, but it's really easy to understand. So basically, it talks about what you have to do, for example, to start in a company. It doesn't matter if it has like a long time that it was created. You can start by sorting, just like to get rid of all those things you don't really need. So maybe it's about some things you are doing that they are not useful anymore, or some things you have been keeping them like for a long time. If you are not using them, just get rid of them, so you have more space. Then you need to organize all those things for efficiency, so everybody can use them like in the way they are meant to. Then you need to shine. It means like clean everything. So make it easy to find the things and everything is clean, so you can have like a safe environment. And after that, standardize. If you see that that is helping you, just make it consistent, like consistent practices for everyone. So everyone does the same thing, and then sustain. So it means like maintain this system and then just improve every time it's necessary. So it's really simple, but it's something that it's helping. I mean, with Kay in the store, we do something like really near to this S, even without talking about it. And it helps us because even if she's not there, I know where things are because everything is labeled and everything is just like clean, and we don't have like too many things that we don't need. So I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same in every store. But if we do it like in a systematic way, it works better and it helps everybody just like to grow or to improve in some different areas.
I like it. I really like it. It's a systematic way of approaching systems within the organization. Very good. Thank you, Carla. Today, as I'm sure all of you have read the blog that we sent out, I want to talk about a book. And I've recommended this book to some of you. I don't know if you've read it or not. I'm not going to name any names, but I've recommended this book in the past. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So, in my opinion, if you want to read one book ever on business, make it be this one, because it is a systematic way for you to look at leadership and to look at progress. And it does a very good job explaining how you should look at the world as a leader and how you should be, whether it's with yourself or with your team. And it goes into different levels, different sections of leadership. So it creates a really good framework of how you should be as a leader and how you should look at the world. So I highly recommend reading this book. I'm going to do a summary of the book so you have an idea of what it is. But the book goes into more detail, more explanations of what I'm talking about here. So again, highly recommend you after this webinar, maybe you can download the audiobook and just listen to it. And it's one of those books that you can go back to and read every once in a while, every 2, 3, 4 years. Just for me prepping for this webinar, even though I've read this multiple times, I still learned a few new things going back to it today and just going through it to prep for this webinar. So the book divides habits, they call it habits of leadership, into 3 different parts. There's the private, there's the public, and then renewal. So then there's, out of those 7 habits that he talks about, 3 are private, 3 are public, and one last one is the renewal of all these habits. So we start with private habits. Habit number 1, be proactive. So being proactive means, it could mean a lot of things. So being proactive means taking responsibility for our own actions, for everything that happens around us. It's coming from the responsible point of view of taking responsibility of whatever happens, for our actions, for things that happens to us, for our reactions, for our emotions, for our decisions. It means taking responsibility and taking charge of what we can control versus things that are outside our control. Habit number 2, begin with the end in mind, right? That goes into a little bit of a goal setting. What do you want to do? What do you want to be, right? As a leader, now that you're proactive, where do you want to take your life? What is your ultimate mission, personal mission? Where do you want to get to? Because nobody gets to success by accident. You don't stumble upon success, whatever success means to you. And it doesn't have to be some grand vision and mission that you're going to have. Some people have that, and other people are just, they have things that are important to them, and they might not seem the world changing, or they might not seem the biggest thing in the world, but it's just important to them. Creating a mission goes hand in hand with creating values for yourself, like internal values. What are the things that are most important to you? And you create these values for yourself, then you can create a mission statement, personal mission statement for yourself. Having that kind of a solid mission from that principle brings a lot of things for you. Habit number 3, again, a private habit. It's inside you, internal. And that's about putting first things first. Now, we talked about this. This is important versus urgent, all the things that could be important versus not important, urgent versus not urgent, and take care of things that are important and urgent. And also, you don't forget, here it's dividing it into quadrants, but quadrant 2 means things that are important but not urgent. Oftentimes we miss those ones, things that are important but not urgent. So we really got to focus on that. I don't want to talk too much about this. We've already gone through this a lot, right? We also talked about how there is so many different tools that we can use for this. Now, the public side of things. So we talked about what the habits that are internal, and now we talk about habits that are external. So internally, we're going to be proactive. We need to be proactive. We need to have goals, a mission, and we need to focus on the things that are important. Habit number 4 is think win-win. It happens a lot. Good leaders think about win-win situations all the time. You're constantly thinking what is it that makes me win and helps everybody else win too. And it comes from a place of abundance mindset. It comes from a place of, I can win and benefit. You can also win and benefit. Okay, habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This one's very important. So when you're in a conversation, perhaps a discussion, maybe an argument, imagine if you could just try to understand first instead of trying to make your point across, instead of trying to be understood. Good leaders are able to listen. The ability to listen in a discussion is very important. It's a talent. Whereas new leaders don't have the ability to listen. Instead of listening, they're thinking of what to say and respond to somebody. In a conversation, when you are thinking of justifying your own thinking to the other person, that means you're not listening to the other person. So if you're talking, you're not listening. You can't, it just goes one way. Like, we can't talk and listen at the same time. It's always the case. And this is one of the best ways for a seasoned leader to notice a person's level of leadership. If they're constantly interrupting, or they're constantly trying to prove their point, or they're constantly trying to justify the way they think, that means they're not good listeners. They want to be understood more so than they want to understand. So a lot of people listen to reply, not to understand. I make a point, I'm having a conversation with somebody, and as soon as I finish, the other person goes, but, this is, that's not the best way to have the conversation, because you're not listening. You're listening to reply. Yeah, I'm obviously guilty of this with myself too. I do it all the time. It's not the easiest thing to master, but and I practice it every day. When somebody is talking, I try to listen and think, okay, what is that point? Like, what are they talking about? Am I wrong in thinking a different way? I try to understand their point and then reply, instead of trying to explain the thought process. Because think about it, explaining yourself doesn't add value to any conversation. What adds value to a conversation is listening to the other point and disagreeing with it. That could add value to a conversation. Hey, I listened to what you said. I don't agree because, instead of saying, no, I was thinking this because I was thinking, my thought process was this, was that. That's why I said it. Now, do you see the difference?
Can I add something? I think, for example, in this situation, sometimes I think a good leader doesn't even need to talk. If they are listening, maybe it was a problem or a situation in the store, for example, and in the talking, the person can realize like, oh, this is what I did wrong. If they are just talking and you let them like just talk, at the end you can just ask like, okay, so what do you think, or what could have been done better? And they even come up with a solution. You don't even have to say something. It's just sometimes, as you are saying, like just listening. And by listening, when they are talking, they listen to themselves and they come up with the solution, or they realize what they did wrong or not well, like properly done.
Yeah, perfect. That's a great example of someone talking to a leader. A leader, they don't have to explain, interrupt, or anything. They just listen actively. And a lot of times, irrelevant of what their opinion is, the other person gets to a conclusion. And then let's add to that situation, if that other person, if two leaders, good leaders, are talking, the conversation completely changes. right? There are two good leaders, they're talking to each other. That other person doesn't even continue on talking. They say their opinion, request for the opinion from the other leader. The other person talks about their opinion, and together, listening to each other, actively, they come up with a solution. If there is a solution needed. Yeah. So that's a great point. You listen to somebody, I just it works with sometimes in relationship too, because a common I get in relationships sometimes is that I just need to listen and not come up with a solution. Sometimes that listening part, active listening, is all that's needed. They call it empathic listening, listening with empathy. Okay, habit number 6. Now, habit number 6 is about cooperation. When the whole thing together works better as an individual unit. Now, this I have seen a little bit, and I like that the stores, for example, have a good competition. It's great, and it's a healthy competition. And it happens a lot with products, especially when we are short of products, where there's fight over who gets what, right? And in a system, for example, when the whole thing wins, when we are cooperating, for example, exchanging people, exchanging products, engaging in winning strategies for the whole team, then that gives a better outcome than if an individual wins, right? If the warehouse, for example, wins and one of the stores loses, that's no good. The best type of winning is if the whole team, everybody wins, right? That's the absolute best part of winning. And then it's about a synergy, the outcome that comes out of collaboration. That's when you combine thinking and combine forces. When we do stuff like this, and you also collaborate and give feedback and share ideas, when we are thinking as a whole team, that synergy, that connectedness, create that culture of communicating, not only helps us grow to a good level, really good level, it also expands our way of thinking, expands the way we think and grow, versus if you win as an individual, as one person. So we have private victories, being proactive, setting up a mission, having goals, prioritizing the important things. And then we have public stuff, things that relate to others, creating win situations, trying to understand before being understood, and synergy, teamwork. And lastly, the last habit, the 7th habit, is called renewal. And the book calls it sharpen the saw. So it goes into creating things, doing things that makes it better for you to have all these other habits, but personally, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally improving yourself time and time again, like every year, over time. Are you taking care of your health? Going to the gym, for example. Are you physically getting better? You are all very young, but as we age, you need to take care of your body. You need to take care of your mind. You need to emotionally be strong. You need to mentally be strong. Does meditation work for you? Reading books work for you? those are the things that would maintain you as a person, and those are the habits that makes you a renewed person year over year, right? So you want to make sure you're spending time there. All right. Okay. So those are the 7 habits. Highly recommend you guys read this book. I will come back to this book again in one of our future webinars. So try to read it.
I have a question.
So,
Based on the habits that we have 7 habits that you perfectly go through all of them. But as a beginner in this path, do you have a recommendation that which habit is the most important that I can work on? Because as a beginner that wants to start, I'm really confused that which one helps me to go through the other ones. Like one habit is the most important that acts like a bypass to the other habit. So if I want to work, I cannot work on all of them, but I want your recommendation that which habits helps me the most to start with.
okay, let me ask you a question. Are you, so it's habit number 1, are you, generally speaking, when something happens, something bad happens, do you get upset, or do you blame circumstances, or how do you react? Say you're walking to the store, you fall down in a puddle of water. What's your
Yeah.
thinking? Who do you get angry at?
I just say like, okay, it's a bad luck. Maybe I could be more careful.
No. Okay. So that's example, be proactive. If you're not yelling and swearing at other people, who
No,
put the puddle
never.
here? Why did it rain? Why am I here? If you're not doing that, then you have something with habit number 1. All you need to do is being conscious of it in every situations that make you emotional, right? Especially trying to focus on what you can control versus things that you can't control.
Yeah.
Right? If your personality is in a way that you're already good in that area, some of us are already good in that area, then you move on to habit number 2. Right? And then do the same thing with habit number 2. If you have a mission, if you don't have, I think everybody needs a mission. If you get anything from this book, from this conversation, go and think about your mission. Where do you want to be in 10 years, 15 years? It's a little cliche, but try and find something internal, right, that helps you where you want to be, helps you think where you want to be. Develop a personal mission statement. Those 2, I'll start there. The first 2 habits, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Perfect. Let me know feedback, and any feedback is appreciated through the email or surveys that Hamid sends. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
Good to see
you.
you.